I personally have been uplifted by the resistance, by seeing 10,000 people on Sunday coming out in the streets to witness both the site of the murder on the day of, on Saturday night, but also to pay tribute and decide that we're going to fight back on Sunday. And I want to talk a little bit again, because I spoke earlier about it on Sunday, about what I think the solution to the death of Alex Pretti and Renee Good, and I think what they would want us to do. We, Minnesota, on Friday, showed up in 100,000 plus people in the streets, and possibly many more, fighting back against this ICE, CBP, Customs and Border Patrol terror. And we showed up. Right? We showed up. We didn't go to work. We didn't go to school. We flexed that power. And that means that we need to continue flexing that power. Right? So we have, over the weekend, as soon as the event happened, as soon as Alex Pretti was shot 6 or 7 times and was later declared killed, Alex Pretti, a man who also treated many, many veterans and also trained many, many nurses on how to treat those veterans, we as veterans must have a duty to stand up, because this is one of our fellow, government workers, one of our fellow humans that are resisting against this ICE terror, and we can't stand by idly, right? Yeah. No! We need to follow in the example of the labor unions who are most affected by, whose workers, who represent those workers who are most affected by this terror. We need to follow that example, and when the labor unions like SCIU, Local 26, Unite Here, Local 17, when they called for that strike that happened last Friday on January 23rd, the people stood up and answered. And now, with black student groups and with Somali student groups of the U of M calling for the same thing, we need to answer that call. It is time to strike again. So let's get in those streets. Let's show the world what we can do. But what's more, we're going to make this a national event. February 30th, all of these cities across the country that are facing ICE terror are going to shut it down. Not just Minneapolis, from Houston to Dallas to Atlanta to Las Vegas, we're all shutting it down. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want it?
What's up, everybody? What's popping? Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hopefully you guys are all doing well out there. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits, because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. Let's not forget that. We got some things we have got to get into. There's a lot that's happened today. Not a whole lot of time to go through everything, but we're going to try to get through as much as we can today or tonight. Okay? A lot going on. All right? As you guys can see, there is a Goodbye Bovino rally going on right now, which is very interesting. But we're going to get into this and more, okay? So let's get into this. So do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Crush a do hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, make sure you hit that follow button, okay? I talk about a lot of things, everything from true crime to pop culture to politics and all the mucky in between. And sometimes it all merges into one. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it just all meshes into one, okay? There's a lot of stuff going on out here in these streets, guys. So make sure, okay? Make sure you hit that subscribe button here on my YouTube channel, please and thank you. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Subscribe over there as well. Don't forget to hit that join button down below, become a member, check out my Patreon, and of course, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys. So for those of y'all who are just kind of getting in here, who just don't know what is going on, obviously there's still a lot of demonstrations, a lot of protests, a lot of things going on in Minneapolis as we speak. I also want to let you guys know, as much as people were rejoicing about ICE and Border Patrol leaving Minneapolis, I just need to let you guys know they ain't left. In fact, I don't think they're going to be leaving anytime soon. So I think that there's going to be a lot more protests, a lot more reaction. Yes, there are people. Yes, the left. Some of these far left wingers, especially the protesters that are out here, are actually like rejoicing over the fact that Greg Bovino is gone. And it's a good thing. I see it as a good thing for many reasons I'll explain here in just a little bit. But it doesn't change the fact that ICE agents and Border Patrol agents aren't still in Minneapolis. In fact, there are still a lot of videos still being shown out here of people getting harassed, detained, rightfully detained to not rightfully detained, harassed unjustifiably, etc., by ICE agents and Border Patrol officers as well. So again, and then from what I understand, and I need to find this clip, but if I'm correct, even Trump said that he's like, oh no, we're not leaving. Like ICE isn't leaving. They're still there. So as much as people were out there, dancing in the streets and having a great time, getting their two-step in and having a great time, rejoicing about ICE and Border Patrol leaving, it's actually not entirely true. They needed somebody's head to roll, and that ended up being the lowest guy on the totem pole. And who was that? Yes, that was Gregory Bovino. And the littlest one in stature, if you get what I'm saying here too. So the littlest one and the one lowest on the totem pole, his head had to roll. Because let's be real, just so you guys know, Trump is trying to walk this back as best as he can. He did not verbally say that Alex Pretti was a domestic terrorist. He didn't verbally say that. But a lot of his team said that he was. He didn't tweet it out. He didn't do my fellow Americans. He didn't do any of that and say, he's a domestic terrorist. He didn't say any of that. Okay. He didn't say any of that. He called him a gunman. He said, this is the reason why we need to have ICE out there, Border Patrol agents out there, so on and so forth. Okay. He didn't verbally say it, but we get that he didn't say it, but his team did. And all of them did. In fact, now there is a huge push for the likes of Stephen Miller, Dr. Evil, and Kristi Noem, the ICE maiden. There is a huge push for them to step down and resign. Because here's the thing. People are feeling like Gregory Bovino stepping down or, getting fired, because he definitely got fired, okay, does not suffice. We got a lot of hungry bellies out there, and that tiny little morsel, get it because he's small. That tiny little morsel is not going to satiate the powers that be. Trump said somebody's got to take it. Somebody's got to be the scapegoat, be the fall guy. That was Bovino. Don't worry, it's not like he lost his job entirely. He's still ranked. He's still an active member of of that department and all that. It's just that he's not the face or the top commander of that Border Patrol anymore. Now enter in Tom Homan, which we will talk about here in a second, because I see this as a good thing. I know this is going to sound crazy. I know y'all going to be like, what, Pascal, you out your damn mind. But here's the thing. I think that it's a good thing. Now, until I see otherwise, I see Tom Homan, however you say his last name. I see it as a possible good thing. I will explain that in a little bit. Bovino, I think, ruled this terribly. And he was cosplaying like a mug. You know who I'm talking about, that double S. All right. That outfit was crazy. He was cosplaying Horde, right? Now, I will say this. Ali just said, Haman is garbage too. Yeah, he's garbage. He's trash too. But I think he's the lesser of the two evils. I'll explain here in just a minute. But nonetheless, somebody's head had to roll. Bovino was the first to roll. Yes, you have the likes of people side-eyeing. Trump is side-eyeing Kristi Noem right now, but she still got the mother-loving job. She still got the mother-loving job. Her and her secret lover. Okay? They still got their jobs. Ain't nothing changed. All right? Apparently, she's been bumping ugly, slobbing the knobs. Or it's only one knob, you know what I mean? Of Corey Lewandowski, I think is his last name, correct? If I'm saying that correctly. That's the rumor that's being spread out here, that they are bumping uglies. Yeah. Secret lovers, bumping uglies, taking down the bad guys, taking down migrants. Interesting, right? But nonetheless, people are asking for Stephen Miller, who was one of the first to come out and say, this man was a domestic terrorist, right? Throw me a freaking bone here. He's a freaking terrorist, which was not true at all, in my personal opinion. They're asking for him to step down. They're asking for Kristi Noem to step down as well. Will that happen? I do not know. But what I do know is that people are still very angry because the cover-up is very real. And this is the realest, well, it's not the realest one we've seen ever, because we've seen the Epi Files situation, and that's a big fat ass cover-up. But we're seeing this on the other side of the department, on the other side of the government. Okay, we're seeing it on the other side now. All right, that they just basically lie through their teeth, and they're getting caught in real time. That's what's so sad. Well, actually, it's very invigorating. I'm going to be honest. It really is invigorating, because I'd rather see the truth and see them for exactly who they are. Like I said in my pop-up video, if they're going to tell us that they're liars and they're saying it in real time, we better believe them. We can't sit there and go, oh, no. Now I see something different. No, you can't change. You can't change the story. You see what I'm saying? You can't change what actually happened here. And I see people trying to move the goalposts as best they can because they can't fathom in their minds what happened here really happened. The lies. And at some point, y'all will catch up. But there are people out here, shoot. You open up TikTok, there's at least one every other video on TikTok where somebody's out here saying something the complete opposite. They're repeating what Kristi Noem said, or they're repeating what they heard from the administration, rather than looking at the video for themselves, because they cannot fathom the idea of having their rose-colored, actually red-colored, because it's MAGA, you know what I'm saying? Their MAGA-colored glasses. They can't stand the idea of ripping those MAGA-colored glasses off of their eyes to see the actual truth. But fortunately, for the most of us, for the majority of us, we saw the video. Doesn't matter if you're red or blue. You're looking at this stuff and you're like, wow, I'm seeing it for what it is. Putting all my bias aside, and I'm just seeing it for what it is. This man did not pull out a weapon. He did not brandish a weapon. He did not do what they say that he did. Now, we're going to get into another article conversation here in just a little bit. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to say it now, and I'll say it later too. It don't matter if he had a previous encounter with ICE. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this man lost his life unfairly, unjustly. That's it. Doesn't matter if there was an altercation before. Doesn't matter if he was on their list. Are we sure every single last ICE agent knew that he was on the list? You see what I'm saying? So again, the narrative that's coming out now, now it's yesterday, if I'm correct, yesterday it was he bought a 6-hour revolver, that very powerful one that just fires off on its own, right? It just fires off at random on its own. Now, here's the thing: if that's the case, then that's the case. But at the same time, they're going, well, it's because of the misfiring of the weapon. It's also bad training. It's also poorly trained individuals that are all hopped up on steroids or hopped up on adrenaline and testosterone, rather than actually trying to find ways to de-escalate the situation. That weapon would not have gone off if they did not unholster or grab that weapon from him in that altercation. I'm just going to keep it a bean. Here's the other thing too. As much as you want to say it, he didn't fight. He didn't fight with ICE this particular time. He was on his hands and knees trying to balance himself. He was getting tossed around left and right. Okay? So again, like I said, you see the video for yourself. You see the countless angles that we've seen. You can't deny what happened here. You can't deny it. But like I said, there are going to be people out here that are going to create whatever they need to create so that they feel better, so that they can rest their weary little heads on their down pillows for the night. Because God forbid that MAGA could ever make mistakes. MAGA would never lie to me. I voted for him. You see what I'm saying? And that's what's so sad about this. Like I said, doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. If this was Obama, if this was blue all day long, and this thing happened, I would be going in on them too. It doesn't change a damn thing. There's a difference between right and wrong. Right and wrong. Good and evil. That is it. And what we're seeing is not an example of the Lord's work. This is not an example of what Christianity is supposed to be. You're supposed to be telling the truth, not lying. Massive difference, guys. Massive difference. Okay? These good Christians that are speaking to us in this way, lying to us. That's not very Christian now, is it? Okay. Well, here it is. Like I said, there's a lot that we need to go into. So thank you so much for coming in here and spending that time with me. We got a lot to talk about. There's a whole lot of shaking going on. Okay. A whole lot of shaking going on. So give me 2 seconds, guys. 2 seconds. So we're going to go over to this one first. And it's funny because I wanted to read the comments. Like I was reading the comments in this article because I wanted to see how quickly people were going to start to spin this and try to change this into something that I don't think it's as I don't see it the way some people are starting to spin it. Like I saw Megyn Kelly. Man, we gonna talk about Megyn Kelly. Come on. Whoop, wrong one. We're gonna be talking about Megyn Kelly. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Megyn Kelly. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too. Because Megyn Kelly even out here trying to kind of move the goalpost as best as she can as well. Because it's gotta fit. It's got to go against the MAGA, like it's got to go with the MAGA narrative that's already been splayed out here for everyone, vomited out of the mouths of the likes of Bovino, Noam, and Miller and the sort. Okay, you got Caroline literally flubbing all over the place, literally trying to be like, get me off of this podium, get me out of this room as quickly as possible. Because she couldn't even believe the crap that was coming out of her mouth. Let's be real. Look at that video again. Look at that press conference again. You can see her literally like quivering because she is saying things that are not true. And she knows for a fact that it's not true. Okay? And yes, she's saying what she needs to say because she's getting paid to say it, right? So then you see Megyn Kelly. I might play a little bit of Megyn Kelly so you guys can hear for yourself. But it's like, what? How far off did you spin off this planet, girl? Really? Because of he had an altercation, which we don't know the full scope of this altercation at all. Do you not remember the copious amounts of videos that we have seen lately of people randomly getting hurt because they were just in the wake of ICE going after certain people? Let me explain. Remember the other night? I think it was last night. I showed you guys. These days have been blending into one. I'm sorry, guys, but do you remember when I showed you guys a video of they were like attacking a hotel? Yeah, a whole bunch of ICE, not ICE. I'm sorry, a whole bunch of protesters, anti-ICE protesters outside this hotel, and then there was a ICE agent like standing at the doorway, and he's like, "Where are the cops?" Because he's hoping that he's going to get saved by 5-0. They showed up, but not in the nick of time, right? They took a long time to get there, right? But in the meantime, they're blasting tear gas, they're blasting people with their weapons, etc. You know, they're hitting people with pepper balls, etc. Right? Remember, there was a guy. I don't know if you remember this specifically, but I rewound it because I wanted to see what actually happened to the guy. Because I'm trying to show you that some people are getting hit unjustifiably. They're just kind of getting caught with, like, you know, they're catching a punch, they're catching a hit with a pepper ball. Sometimes they're getting hit with pepper spray because they're standing next to somebody who's getting pepper sprayed. You see what I'm saying? So the same thing. This guy gets hit in the chest, like on the side of his rib, and he's grabbing his rib, and he's like, "Oh, he just shot me with a pepper ball, man." And he's like, I was just standing there, man. All I was doing was yelling at him, man. Damn. He didn't do anything, but he just got hit with one random. I guarantee you he's got either a bruised or broken rib by now. You see what I'm saying? So if Alex Pretti, may he rest in peace, had a broken rib in an altercation with ICE, how do we know it was from him being volatile, violent, unhinged? Oh, as Trump and others said, an assassin, that he was out there to assassinate. Right? That's what they've been saying, haven't they? That his sole purpose was to go out there and take out literally ICE. That's what they were saying. Like I said, we got a lot to look at. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get into this article, shall we? Interesting. So he broke his rib in a previous altercation. We don't know what actually happened, but maybe they'll explain it here, right? So he had been injured in a scuffle with federal agents in Minneapolis just 1 week before he was pew-pewed, when he lost his life, right? I mean, shoot, that was only a few short days ago. It feels like it happened 2 weeks ago at this point. Pretti, 37 years old, may he rest in peace, was left with a broken rib. Some reports are saying he had 2 broken ribs, but something was broken in his ribs, in his rib cage. Okay. So broken rib after he being tackled by a group of officers during a protest against Trump's, his ICE crackdown. Okay. So the alleged assault occurred after Pretti stopped his car after seeing ICE officers chasing a family on foot. Pretti allegedly began shouting and blowing a whistle and was then tackled to the ground by 5 agents. Where? So hold up. Here it is, though. Let me just repeat that again. So he got out of his car. He stopped his car after seeing ICE chasing a mother-loving family, a whole family, kids, mama, papa. They are hustling down the street, running their asses off like they Harriet Tubman, okay, and the Underground Railroad. All right. And this man gets out of his car, I guess, and he starts blowing his whistle, shouting and going, "Hey, F ICE, F ICE," like a lot of other people were doing. And what happened? ICE got mad. ICE agents got in their fee-fees and tackled this dude. Violent altercation? Violent altercation, you say? Not on his side, it sounds like. Sounds like he was busy blowing a whistle and saying, hey, F ICE, what you're doing here is wrong, blah, 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 right? So the source claimed one officer leaned on his back, causing his ribs to break. Oh, well, there it is. I'm going to do it again because that sounded lackluster. You see what I'm saying? But people are going to take this and go, see, he's a violent mother lover. That's the reason why he got his ribs broken. He broke his ribs. He was targeted. Now they knew he was a very violent individual. He was unhinged. So they knew him when they saw him on that street. That's not entirely true. That is not entirely true. And by the way, doesn't sound like he was fighting back. Sounds like the dude was on his stomach and ICE went over, put his knee on his back and broke a rib. That's what it sounds like to me. But people out here trying to change the stories, y'all. People out here trying to, you know what I mean? As you can see, he was this unhinged individual. Where is the proof? Just like they say that he pulled out a gat and he was waving it around, right? Brandishing. Brandishing means when you pull out the weapon and you're showing it, you're pointing it out and all that, waving it in a theatrical way, so on and so forth. That's what brandishing means, right? But that did not happen, y'all. It was holstered on his side, in his waistband, never was taken out by him. But let's move on. So, source claims one officer leaned on his back, causing his ribs to break. That's diabolical, by the way. Moving on. The ICU nurse allegedly thought he was going to die, was reportedly released at the scene, but allegedly remained on federal agents' radar. See, here's the thing. See what I'm saying? They're trying to create this narrative of like, oh, yeah, we were keeping an eye on him because, we ran into him this one time. We know we're going to run into his ass another time. So let's keep an eye on this dude. Like the same ICE agents that ran into him here are the same ICE agents that he ran into when he lost his life. Are we sure about that? Now, I'm telling you that's still possible. But really, what are the possibilities? Come on now. He was on their radar. I don't even think that. Remember, ICE does not have any intelligence. And I mean that metaphorically and literally speaking. Okay? So they have no intelligence. So what were they doing? Did they go up and take a photo of this dude? Did they take a photo of this dude and go, hey, okay, we got you now. We're putting you in our database. They don't have any intelligence. They said that out loud in press conferences in the past. Okay, go back into the memories. Okay, so again, this dude, not laughing at Alex, I'm talking about this ICE guy. This dude went up, broke ribs, sent him on his way, because what he did to Alex was illegal. So they let him go anyway. But they said, I'm gonna burn your face in my brain. It's gonna be that bee in my bonnet will always be buzzing. So next time I see you, I better not see you again, son. No. Sorry, I don't believe that. Not for one freaking second. Sorry, guys. I don't believe it. But moving on. So agents deployed in Minneapolis were instructed earlier this month to capture all images, license plates, identifications, and general information on hotels, agitators, protesters, according to documents obtained by the outlet. Federal officers are understood to have kept documented details about Pretti, although it's unclear when they first started collecting information about him. Now, again, you don't think that after he lost his life, they didn't start collecting information about him? You don't think that it takes 2 seconds to pull up look at all the shout out to all my true crime sleuthers out here. Okay. Let me just say, Y'all are undefeated, okay? Y'all are fast with getting information. You guys comb through the internet, find things, find photos of the likes of this man right here, this poor man right here, right? You guys are quick. You don't think that they could do the same doggone thing too? Find out information quickly? They had hours to figure that out, by the way, before Kristi Noem did her press conference. Remember, we waited hours before she actually stepped forward and gave us her BS explanation on what actually happened. Remember that? Remember that BS? That was a wild press conference. She should be impeached solely on that press conference alone. But I think he likes her face. Or maybe he paid for her face. I don't know. All I know is that he's holding on to her for right now. What for? Don't know. Do not know. But again, they're saying, oh, they had tabs on this dude. Okay. Let's just rock with the idea that the tabs on this guy is true. Let's just rock with that for 2 seconds. That still does not change the fact that he lost his life unjustifiably. Yeah, take back the conspiracy. So what does that mean? So targeted? He was a familiar face. They're like, I remember this dude. I remember this a-hole. And then they attacked him. Get him, guys. We just ran into him just days before. One of y'all broke his ribs. Remember this butthole? So that sounds like it could also mean that he was targeted. Or they're making up a narrative to make it sound like he's like some unhinged individual and they're keeping an eye on this unhinged individual. They're trying to find ways to justify what happened to Alex Pretti. And I'm telling you right now, what happened to Alex Pretti always will be unjustified until we hear something different that is justifiable, that makes sense. But right now, they're doing everything they can. They're like, the gun went off by itself. That's what it was, right? They pull out that reason. Then they're saying, hey, oh, no. He had an altercation with ICE before. When in actuality, he got tackled by officers. Pinned him to the ground. And then they put a knee to his back and leaned on him so hard that they broke a rib or two. That doesn't sound like somebody who's unhinged. That sounds like somebody that lost his life, like that was just tackled by a whole bunch of officers. But like I said, they will do everything they can to move the goalpost and to make people seem like something, to make things seem like something else. It's ridiculous, y'all. It is absolutely ridiculous. So let's pull up a few things here. Okay, we got to pull up a few things. Let's get into this. Okay, let's take a look. Actually, let me see here. Let us see some things here. Hold on. Hold on, what's up? 1 second. Because I don't want to play the whole doggone clip of Megyn Kelly. And you know, hold on. Yeah, we should. Let me just I'll play that. She did this the other day. Let me play this one first. She did this the other day. Before the breaking of the ribs story, but let's take a look at this.
I know I'm supposed to feel sorry for Alex Pretti, but I don't. Mm-hmm. I don't. Do you know why I wasn't shot by Border Patrol this weekend? Because I kept my ass inside and out of their operations.
We're there. We're already there, guys. I don't know what happened to her. I mean, she's always been pretty right wing. You know what I'm saying? Like she not pretty. I mean, she's always been right wing. But I figured like someone like her with the experience what she experienced, right? The Me Too movement, etc. You'd think that she would be a little bit different. And lo and behold, she ain't. I just figured, I'm not saying that she would like, God forbid, go over to the dark side or anything like that, the Democrat side. No, I'm not saying that. I just figured that she would use her brains a little bit more. She's very intelligent, very well spoken. She's not a dumb person. She clearly is not. But I know her base gives her Hermione's. So then, of course, I'm going, okay, why is she saying it like this? Because it's sad. Because it feels like there's that one person that feels really lonely right now. Like, let me explain this. Let me just rock with me for a second. Okay, after this whole thing that happened with Alex, and again, it's tragic, and may he rest in peace. But I feel like there's a certain corner of the world that is feeling some type of way about this, meaning they're feeling lonely because they're going, oh God, how dare MAGA do what they, oh no, MAGA did this? MAGA did this. This is MAGA's fault. This is Trump's fault. And they feel alone, right? They feel so super alone because everywhere they turn, even the people that are hardcore MAGA that saw this video are sitting there going like, yo, they are all out of pocket for this one. This is too much. This dude should still be alive. This is unjust, right? So you got those people that are sitting there walking around with the head hang low, okay? All by themselves, feelings, all by myself, just super sad, right? Just feeling super, super sad. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, in the darkness, they see one candlelight. And that one candlelight has a voice. So they start walking towards that candlelight because then suddenly it's leading them out of the darkness into what they feel is justified. They're like, yes, somebody out here understands how I'm feeling. I feel what they're saying here. Yes. Megyn Kelly, keep saying what you said. I thought I was wrong for feeling what I felt, but you're saying that I'm not. Thank you, Megyn Kelly. That's what we're seeing here. And it's not just Megyn Kelly. There's other voices out here. There's other candles in the darkness as well. They're not really candles. They're like those fake plastic candles, that you need like one of those little tiny batteries to operate to make it work. It's not real flames, but they're still there. And they're saying all this stuff to make those people feel like, no, I'm not alone in my thoughts. I'm not. Thank you. And she happens to be one of those people. It's crazy. I guess you got to pay her bills too, but it's just messed up, guys. Like I said, I've said this a million times before. Don't be a part of the hive mind. And I mean that on the left and on the right. Don't be a part of the hive mind. Think for yourself. Watch these videos. Watch what actually happened. See what actually happened. Hear what the administration's been telling us. And then look at the video again. Analyze the hell out of it and tell yourself whether or not you are lying to yourself. And you're going, nope, that phone is definitely a gun. What I see right there, that is a gun. I have never seen a phone be a gun, and I've never seen a gun be a phone ever in my life, unless it's a toy, right? Like a toy phone gun thing, but who actually makes those things like that, okay? Unless you want to get murked in these streets, right? So the last time I didn't know that cell phones could shoot lasers out, that they were deadly weapons. I'm just saying, look at the video. Look at what's going on. You know what? I challenge you on this because I know some people are like, man, Pascal, man. But think about this for a second. Look at Kyle Rittenhouse's situation. Then look at Alex's situation. I know that's going to ruffle a few feathers. But look at those two situations. Look at both of them. Just saying. I'm going to play a little bit more of this.
It's very simple. If I felt strongly enough about something the government was doing that I would go out and protest, I would do it peacefully on the sidewalk without interfering via a whistle, via shouting, via my body, via any other way. I would make my objections known by standing there without interfering, because interfering is where you go south. And laying hands on a police officer trying to, or border patrol officer or ICE officer trying to conduct a law enforcement operation is a felony. And now you are going to get arrested. And if you do anything that resembles resisting, you're in serious trouble.
Now, I have to, I know we already talked about this ad nauseum, and we're going to move on, okay? But I need to make this abundantly clear, okay? Just because he stood out in the middle of the street and he was filming these particular ICE agents, he was not impeding. I don't see that as impeding. That people could sit here all day long and try to say, see what I'm saying? This is the trained crap that they're getting. They're hearing it from the administration, and they're going, Eureka, that's a good explanation. So then they run with it. I'm in my mind, I'm like, this guy did not impede. He walked over, he had his phone in his hand. He directed some traffic that was other ICE, anti-ICE individuals that were in a car. Because they were filming too. They drove by, right? And then all of a sudden, an altercation happened between these two anti-ICE protesters that were not him. There were two women across the street arguing with ICE agents, or one ICE agent. He got in his fifis, and then he started putting his hands on them. And then he got caught in the wave of this chaos. That's what went down. He wasn't impeding anything. See, that's the problem. They keep on trying to make this narrative be the thing. And I'm sorry. At this point right now, all the MAGA supporters, etc., the commentators, the pundits, etc., they all need to sit down on this one. They do. Okay? Come on. Everybody needs to sit down. Those are sitting there going like, he was impeding. It's illegal. Regardless if he was impeding or not, this still does not mean he's supposed to be 6 feet under. Still does not mean he's supposed to be ice cold right now. Not at all. So again, sure, you can say whatever the hell you want to say. That's going to make you feel better. But at the same time, everyone needs to sit down. Everyone needs to sit the F down. Those that are sitting there trying to win this debate, you're not going to win this argument. The vast majority of people are looking at this and they're seeing what really happened. There was no impeding. These ICE agents did not know how to de-escalate a situation. That looked like a straight up bar brawl without alcohol early in the morning. That's what it looked like. A bar brawl. Guy had a little bit too much to drink and a whole lot of testosterone in his body. Got in his fifis because these girls were maybe saying that he had a small weed whacker. I don't know. And then he lashed out on them. And then all the other guys came up because they're like, yeah, we gotta protect our boy, y'all. And then all hell broke loose. And now this man is gone. That's it. That's it. A very messed up, jacked up, sober bar brawl. That's what it looked like to me. Except it ended deadly. You know? It's a damn shame. It's really a damn shame. Let me pull this up real quick. Actually, before I do that, let me play a little bit, just a little bit of this Megyn Kelly clip real quick. We're right about there. Like, there's another part of me that's like, don't we have any heart? You know what I'm saying? Do we not have a heart? There's no compassion? Shoot, common sense as well. What happened to that? Bring that back. You know? Let's make common sense and decency popular, an in thing again, you know? Because it's not trendy anymore.
The agents quickly released him at the scene. That day, he thought he was going to die, said the source. Pretti was later given medication consistent with treating a broken rib, according to the records reviewed by CNN. So they have confirmed that he was in some sort of an altercation with ICE, leaving him with his broken rib. The form titled Intel Collection Non-Arrests allows agents to fill in personal information of agitators and protesters who they encounter. Pretti's name was known to federal agents. Got it? His name was known to the federal agents. That's how active he had been, according to a source, though it's unclear whether the new intake form was used to share his information. It's also not clear whether the federal agents who encountered him on Saturday recognized him before they confronted him. If they did, it would be highly relevant, of course, but it's not necessary. What this is confirmation that this guy was out there looking for a fight. He had already interfered with ICE.
What? So he was out there looking for a fight. He was out there looking. See what I'm saying? We don't even play. I don't want to play anymore. But you see what I'm saying? Do you see? Do you get? Are you smelling what I'm cooking? You know what I'm saying? Now I get it. There's gonna be people out here that are gonna be like, yo, MAGA till I die. You know what I'm saying? We're throwing up gang signs and crip walking. Hey, do you, boo boo? If that's what makes you happy, that's what makes you happy. But the fact that something so tragic happened, and you got people out here just literally like, how do you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning? How can you actually look at yourself in the mirror in the morning? I don't know. There's just something that just doesn't feel like what she's saying is 100% authentic to me, you know? But that's just me. What I give a damn about is truth. And like I said, if Alex Pretti did something so bad to cause for him to lose his life in this way, I would say it right now. I would absolutely say it. I'd be like, yo, he showed up. He brandished that weapon. He got what he was coming for, you know? But that's not what happened. That's not. And yet you still have people out here with narratives. They're grabbing on these specific narratives and they're trying to hold on to that for dear life. And there's no way of getting around that. There's no way of fighting it. The truth is there. The truth has been shot, filmed in a billion different angles. You can't deny what happened to this man was wrong. Yet, we have people that are saying otherwise. Wow. Like I said, we are living in we are living in the upside down. I've been hearing that a lot lately from other people. I'm not the only one who's saying it, which is also wild. But we are living in the upside down. That's without question. Now, there's a couple things I do want to share before we go into the other thing, because apparently there was another shooting in Arizona as well, which is absolutely knuckin' futz as well. We're going to talk about that in just a second, because there was a press conference that just happened. We're going to take a look at that too. But Trump did talk about some things in an interview on Fox. Yes, I know it's Fox, but it is what it is. We got to talk about this. Allegedly, he had quite a bit to say. So let's take a look at this interview. Okay. I know. It's Fox. I know. But that's where he had the interview. Okay. So let's take a look at this interview right here.
Is it like any late night voting or anything? We just won it right at the beginning. The doors closed and they said Trump won. And I love the people. I just get along with the people.
I was watching the other room. You look back in your element. You're back with the people. What do you like better? Do you like this, standing on the stage at a rally, or do you like making a deal, maybe for Greenland?
I think I like maybe the rallies better. Deals are fun, but we're making a lot of good deals. We've made record-setting deals. We have $18 trillion coming into the country. That's why they're building auto plants, AI. They're building everything. With thousands of businesses are being built all over the country. And
I want you guys to know the AI stuff is crazy. There are videos showing right now where there are factories, AI robots in China that are making phones. They're making a phone a second. They can operate in the dark. They are unmanned. They don't need no man, okay? They don't need no man. And they can make a phone a second. This is all coming out of China. China. So, of course, what's going on here? What do you think is going to happen? AI is taking over everything. Next thing you know, they will take over the world. And then there will be, some sort of android sent back to 1986 or 88 or whatever the hell it is to try to find Sarah Connor. Give it time. Dun, 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 dun.
And you're going to have a beautiful, very positive explosion sometime during the year when these things start opening up. But there's never been no country has done what we've done.
That explosion, that anticipated economic explosion, that's going to be important because you also need to do something that someone has done very rarely. You acknowledged this a couple of days ago with Maria Bartiromo, and that is for the president in power to win the midterms. I think it's been only twice since 1938 that the sitting president, the president in power, has won the midterms. Are you concerned?
Well, nobody can explain why. Even when we've had an amazing year, this has been a record-setting year in every way, and nobody can explain. Even presidents, whether it's Republican or Democrat, when they win, it doesn't make any difference. They seem to lose the midterm. So that's the only thing I worry about. I said, why? There's some psychological factor out there.
What do you think that is?
But I think it's like 2 in more than 50 years. Well, I don't know. Maybe they want to put up a guard fence. Maybe you just don't know. It doesn't make sense. Even if a president did well, they seem to lose the midterms. But hopefully we're going to change that around. We're doing great. We have the best polling numbers we've ever had. We have the best numbers in the country, lowest crime numbers in the history of our country. Minnesota's in the news a lot, but what they don't say is that Minnesota has low numbers because of the fact that we took thousands of hardened criminals out of Minnesota. So they had good crime numbers, believe it or not. And that's all working out. We have Tom Homan there now. We put him in there. He's great. And they met with the governor, the mayor, everybody else. And we're going to de-escalate a little bit. But I will tell you, you look at the numbers, they're doing better than they've done in many years because we took thousands of criminals out of Minnesota. You look at Washington, D.C., it was a very dangerous place a year and a half ago. Now it's as safe as you can get. You can walk your family down the middle of the street. Nothing's going to happen. We got rid of over 2,000 hardened criminals, many of them let in through the open border policy of Sleepy Joe Biden. That was not a good policy, Will.
I want to come back to Minnesota in just one moment, but let's go to those guardrails. I'd imagine you do not feel like you need guardrails in this moment. You talk about the investment.
No, I don't need guardrails. I don't want guardrails. Guardrails would hurt us because, we're free enterprise people. The people in this room, the people of Iowa, are free enterprise. That's why we won it so big 3 times in a row.
I would have to imagine that guardrails would be an understatement of what would happen should you lose the House or the Senate. There's been talk of impeachment. You've been through this before. Yeah. You've been through it multiple times.
I'm a professional.
What will happen? What will happen if Democrats take the House?
They'll probably try and impeach me. They'll say he went to Iowa and he spoke unfairly to people and he's not supposed to do that. Let's impeach him, okay? And the people in Iowa would say, how did he get impeached? He just did an interview with Will, who has very good ratings, okay? But they just did an interview with Will. Now, they'll find something. There'll be something. I made the wrong turn at an exit, and let's impeach him. Now, they did that before. They impeached me on a perfect phone call. Turned out they impeached me twice. And by the way, I won the impeachments very easily and quickly. But they impeach. They're very nasty people. They have bad policy, really bad, but they do 2 things. They stick together, not stupid. Some are, because, that's true with everything, right? But they stick together, but they have really bad policy. Men and women's sports, transgender for everybody. So many things are so bad. They're horrible to the farmers. And by the way, I just gave the farmers $12 billion because they were treated unfairly. We're taking in a fortune with tariffs. And I wrote them a little check about 2 weeks ago for $12 billion. Anybody in this room get any of it yet? Yes, yeah, a lot of people. It's a lot of money. And you know what? You deserved it. But we're taking in so much money from the tariffs that we can do that.
I want to talk about the point of view from some of these farmers, some of these people in this room a little bit later, but now I want to take you up on your invitation to talk about Minnesota. Listen, the entire country is talking about what happened this past weekend in Minnesota. You've already spoken about it. Everyone watching has seen the video. Everyone has an opinion. I'm curious what you thought when you first saw that video.
Well, I think the whole thing is terrible. I don't like the fact that he was carrying a gun that was fully loaded and he had 2 magazines with him, and it's pretty unusual. But nobody knows when they saw the gun, how they saw the gun, everything else. Bottom line, it was terrible. Both of them were terrible. The other was terrible too. And I'm not sure about his parents, but I know her parents were big Trump fans. Makes me...
Hold on. Before we hear him go, I love how they, Renee Nicole Good's family were true patriots, right? Before he's like, I like that. They like me, I like them. Before we go into that, can we just roll that back a little bit? Let's just roll that back just a tiny bit, okay? He said, I don't like the fact that he brought a weapon to a protest. Nah, that's never good. But what about the countless 2A'ers, Second Amendmenters that are out there, my gun, my rights individuals that show up fully in like MAGA memorabilia, top to bottom? Think about that for a second. What about them? They show up to these protests and these rallies, etc., like all strapped, ready to go. So that's okay, but it's not okay for Alex Pretti to exercise his Second Amendment right? What is it? What's right for me is not for thee, or whatever it's called. Is that the phrase? What's right for me does not apply to thee, or not for thee, or something like that. So make that make sense. It should be for all Americans, right? Because that's what the Constitution is there for all Americans. It's fine for Kyle Rittenhouse to walk around with his AR, right? It's okay for them to call Ashley Babbitt, yes, I went there, Ashley Babbitt, a mother-loving patriot, but he's not. And we got to look into that. And that's really wrong and really bad. Because here's the thing. Because he didn't vote for Trump. You realize that, guys, right? That's the reason. It's because this guy didn't vote for Trump. That's all it is. It's because the guy didn't vote for Trump. He clearly didn't vote for Trump. If he was voting for Trump, and listen, guys, if the shoe was on the other foot and there was the people out there all the people that are out there were sitting there like, I don't know, J6ers or something like that. And he got iced by PD, Capitol Police or something like that. They would sit there and say that Alex Pretti, without question, no need to investigate, no need to get any body cam footage, nothing. They would literally say that he's a patriot without question. Instantly, everybody would be making portraits of him. There'd be T-shirts of him with the American flag flowing in the background type crap, an eagle flying above and all that stuff. It would be like, never back down. You know what I mean? With all this 1776 memorabilia type of insignia all over that crap. Because they would sit there and they would be like, I am willing to die on this hill to say that this man was unbelievably patriotic for our country. But because he's blue, because he's a damn Demi, he's a terrorist. That's what they instantly said. Unbelievable, guys. I'm just saying. But I want to hear him say that one more time. Let's go.
Well, I think the whole thing is terrible. I don't like the fact that he was carrying a gun that was fully loaded and he had 2 magazines with him, and it's pretty unusual. But nobody knows.
That's not unusual. It's not unusual to have a permit to carry a gun. Okay? It's not unusual. It's not unusual. So why is he saying it's unusual? He would not have These dudes walk in with heavy artillery, straight up strapped on their chest like this, big long guns. Okay? The long guns, baby. You got to be kidding me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's unusual that he has 2 magazines with his pew pew. That's unusual. Okay, like I said, this is the world. We are living in the weirdest time, because if this shoe was on the other foot, he'd be singing a song about him right now. He'd be putting up photos, AI generated videos and photos of this guy and saying, you know, never forget or something like that. Never back down. America, we love. America first. Or whatever the hell he's going to say. You know what I mean? True patriot or freedom. You know what I'm saying? Literally, it'd be like, remember, like, why do I, like, suddenly when I'm thinking about that kind of memorabilia, like, I instantly think of that guy from, like, the 70s or, like, the 80s that would have, like, the van, and it would be all, like, airbrushed, like a freaking unicorn would be on the side of the thing, like some crazy mystical crap, you know, like he'd have, like, He-Man holding a sword, you know what I mean? And you got the freaking, why do I think that they would do something like that for Alex Pretti if this whole thing was opposite? Like, he would be standing on top of 2 eagles flying in the sky, holding an AR with freaking freedom tattooed on his chest, right? The American flag would be flowing above him, right? And as he's holding this sword, he'd have one fist up like that. I don't know why. Like, made to look as like crazy 80s, something like you'd see on the side of a freaking van. You know what I'm saying? Like that guy who listens to nothing but Megadeth or Metallica. You know, he's really wants to be, you know, he's got his little garage band that he really hopes will take off, right? And he airbrushes on the side of his thing. That's just what I see. You know? That's what would happen if the shoe was on the other foot. That's how weird and crazy we are living. We're living in this weird thing coming out of a damn mountaintop. Exactly, NB7. Come on now. You know what I mean? America, you know? But moving on.
When they saw the gun, how they saw the gun, everything else. Bottom line, it was terrible. Both of them were terrible. The other was terrible, too. And I'm not sure about his parents, but I know her parents were big Trump fans. Makes me feel bad anyway. But, I mean, I guess you could say even worse. They were tremendous Trump people, Trump fans. And
so he only gives a damn about the parents. You know, he feels really bad for the parents of Renee Nicole Good because they are Trump supporters. Her parents were Trump supporters, but she wasn't. It makes me feel really bad. You know, it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's really bad. It's bad. Because those are Trump supporters. Yeah. That just came out of his mouth.
You know, the daughter was, she was, I don't know if you could say radicalized, maybe not. I don't know. But I hate to see it. I hate to see that.
You bring up the term radicalized. What do you think is happening? You see these people in these videos, they feel very emboldened to step in and interfere with law enforcement.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about protest, holding signs. I'm talking about people physically interfering with immigration enforcement. Why? Why do they feel so emboldened?
You know, you have to go throughout the whole country. You know, we have done so much work throughout the whole country. We don't have any problem. The only one we have is Minnesota. We're in a lot of different places. New Orleans, we're in the governor of Louisiana called they have a big problem in New Orleans. And we went there. We've cut the crime by 67% in 4 weeks. It'll be down to practically nothing soon. Washington, D.C., we don't have problems. Like, you know, we've cut it down from a lot. It was very bad. It was terrible. People go to Washington to look at the Lincoln Monument and they end up getting whacked or whatever, killed. In some cases, numerous killings. That's a beautiful, safe place now. Memphis, Tennessee, one of the worst in the whole country, and now it's got very little crime.
But it's gone very differently in Minneapolis.
Well, it has. It's the only place.
And now the message is out that Tom Homan is in.
Yeah.
Commander Bovino is supposedly leaving Minneapolis along with some CBP agents. Is this a pullback?
I don't think it's a pullback. It's a little bit of a change. Everybody in this room that has a business, you know, you make little changes. You know, Bovino is very good, but he's a pretty out there kind of a guy. And in some cases, that's good. Maybe it wasn't good here.
So he's what does that mean? And I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Like I said, the change of leadership, I think, is a very good thing. I'll explain that in just a little bit. But that's interesting that he's sitting here saying, like, he's an acquired taste, and yeah, he doesn't fit he fits a specific narrative that a lot of people are feeling, like, that very, SS hateful group type of feel, it's definitely giving that, right? Now Tom Homan definitely does not give off that vibe as far as his look, for lack of a better term. But nonetheless, yeah, even Trump himself now is sitting here going, he's kind of he kind of marches to the beat of his own little drummer boy, just a completely different beat.
But you have to understand, when I watch some of the people that I've been watching over the last few weeks, these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid agitators. These people aren't normal, like OG, that, they're incensed about anything. How do you get incensed when you go into a state and you're taking criminals out? You're taking monsters out, murderers. We had 11,888 murderers let into our country by other countries, by Biden with his open border stupid policy. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You talk about bad policy. Open borders where people were coming, so the whole world, the Congo, Venezuela, all over the world, they're letting people in from their prisons and they're feeding them into the United States. And they're murderers and they're drug dealers and they're everything else you can think of, every bad name you can think of. And they let them in by the millions. We closed the border. We have nobody coming into our country anymore. Literally.
It shows how hard it is to clean up, even after you close it. It shows the price that we paid under Joe Biden.
Now, here's the thing. Obviously, now we're going to be now we're going to be dealing with, wait for it, because it's already happening. Now it's going to start. There's going to be starting a whole big investigation, like Fox News investigates, paid protesters. Who is paying these protesters? Let me say this. I wouldn't be surprised if there are paid protesters, but not all of them. You mean to tell me all of these people that are out there protesting, that are mad about what's going on in the world and they want things to change, you really think all of them are getting paid to be out there in this freezing cold? I doubt that. Like, I really doubt that. But here's what's so crazy about the world that we live in. We live in a time where he can sit here and say basically everything and anything he wants. He can say what he wants. And then they scoop it up. Listen, he says, oh, that's the gunman. He's a bad guy, blah, blah, blah. We hear the administration say that the guy was brandishing a gun. What happens next? Everybody and their mama who didn't even use their brain to look up and do their own due diligence to look up the video themselves, they went out and they just repeated the same crap that the Trump administration said. This is what I mean by the hive-mindedness of certain administrations, that they're just taking the talking points and running with it. Now, this is the same situation. He's been saying this. And what he's trying to do is create a narrative around these particular protesters that are mad and angry and they can't take it anymore. They're not going to take it anymore. So instantly they think, oh, therefore they're getting paid. No, it's called people who are angry, pissed off, and tired of this crap. Yeah, and then I'm waiting for, Micro is saying, I'm still waiting for my Soros check. You know what I'm saying? I mean, shoot. Then where that? Where is that? I mean, I don't need it. But there's a lot of people out here that will sit here and say exactly what Trump said now. And they'll lean on that like it's scripture because it's coming from their forever president. That's not right. That's wrong. That's not right at all. But again, we voted for this. This is the elections that we had. Can't change anything about that. Now, we got some more. He said this before this interview that we just saw. So I wanted to hear this too, because he's like, don't bring guns to protests, which people will never listen to that, which is obviously going against their constitutional rights period, point blank. But let's take a listen to this.
Sir, was Mr. Pretti acting as an assassin? Do you think he was acting as an assassin in Minneapolis? Who is that? Mr. Pretti, your deputy chief of staff said that. You don't think so?
With that being said, you can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns.
What about the Second Amendment?
Listen, you can't walk in with guns. You can't do that. But it's just a very unfortunate incident.
So he said, you can't bring guns to a protest. You can't bring guns to a protest. Let me just say this really quick. That's their constitutional right if they want to. Now, don't bring a weapon and start blasting it all over the place. Yeah, I think that's one thing to, that's something that we should avoid, right? Keep it holstered. Only use it if you're trying to protect yourself or someone that you love, that kind of thing. Not to use it to hurt somebody. Let's not turn the streets into the wild, wild west, right? But for him to sit there and say you can't bring weapons to a protest, like I can see what he's trying to say to a certain extent. But I know the people that are going to take what he's saying literally and say, hey, you can. That's your legal constitutional right. And as long as you have the paperwork, as long as you got what you need, you should be able to do that, right? But that's what he was saying there too. That's what he said in the video that we just saw with that interview that he had right after his visit in Iowa. And of course, now he's really worried, like he's really trying to work on affordability, and he keeps on saying certain things because he's scared. Let me tell you something, guys. He's very, 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 very worried about the outcome of the upcoming, soon to be having midterms. First wave of midterms are coming very soon. If the first wave does not go well for him, it's a foreshadowing of how badly it's about to be for him. Just so you know. Okay? I'm just going to keep it a bean. This is about to be very, very bad for Republicans. Oh, and then here's the other thing. What also is going to be really bad for Republicans here very soon, or bad look for Trump and for the midterms is, guess what? In 3 days is the deadline for this government shutdown. If they can't see eye to eye on what's going on in the House and all the things that they're trying to do as far as more funding for ICE and whatnot, they are in some serious trouble. They are in some serious, serious trouble. Because if they don't get their ish in line, Democrats are not going to step and do anything. They're going to step back and be like, no, we are not doing anything until you do something about this, until you change this, that, and the third. You tighten that leash on those agents because they're unhinged. You guys are, the training process, the vetting process, etc. Your vetting process is ridiculous. The training is 47 days and that's it. Like, come on now. It's all really, 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 really bad. Those things need to be figured out before they can even come to an agreement. And they got 3 days to get that figured out. This is also the reason why. Think about this. This was a very crafty move on Trump's part. Hear me out. Tom Homan, right? Let me just pull up Tom Homan. Let's pull up Tom Homan. Okay, hold on. Let me just pull.
What more can you tell us?
That's absolutely right on. I just hold
on. Sorry, guys. Let me just pull up Tom Homan. This man right here, Tom Homan. Okay? This guy. Let me explain to you. Let me explain to you how important, and I think very crafty. This is a very smart move on Trump's part. Hold on. I know some of y'all are like, what? Now, I'm not sitting here like trying to be like, oh, Trump is the best ever. No, I'm just saying this move is smart. Hear me out. So ish hits the fan, right? You got Renee Good losing her life. Bad. Very bad. Alex loses his life as well. Alex Pretti. Very, very bad. Both of them back to back. Somebody else got shot in the leg. He's going to be fine, right? But those three things happen at the same time. Now you got another situation, Border Patrol shooting another person in Arizona. We're going to talk about that in a second. But here's the thing. This guy used to work with Obama. And apparently, when Obama was in office, that was the most deportations ever that any sitting president ever had. Let me just say that. And that was the guy who was basically leading the charge. So let me explain something. This is a smart move because optically, it's Obama's boy. And this is also a rival of Trump. Apparently, Tom Homan doesn't like Trump that much, but they brought him in anyway. Now he is the border czar for Trump's second presidency. Now he stepped forward and he's taking over the spot where Greg Bovino, little Gregory Bovino, took, right? That little petite Gregory Bovino. That bambino, my bambino. Okay, so he's gone now. Okay? Gregory Bovino gone. He comes in. Obama's boy. Hear me out. House. Democrats not feeling very good about Bovino. Ice Maiden, Noam. And of course, you know, Dr. Evil, Stephen Miller, but that's another conversation in itself. But given the fact that they're bringing in Tom Homan, who is Obama's boy, these Democrats might sit back a little bit and go, ooh, well, he brought him on and he don't like that dude. So maybe that's a good thing that he's bringing in somebody who's a nemesis, who's a rival of Trump. Bringing him in might be a good move. Wait a second. Maybe we do give him a little bit of these fundings and maybe we do move a little bit of this, that, and the third, and we find a happy medium because now Tom Homan is in the spot. Not this weird, crazy, funny, mustache, hateful group, SS cosplaying, looking ass, tiny bambino, Bovino looking ass. Think about that for a second. It might be a very smart move on Trump's part. You got a guy who was out here, like, you know, he definitely had little man syndrome. I'm going to be real. He's walking around. He's, acting like he owns the stuff. He's this ultimate badass because he's running these guys. He's cosplaying with his weird crew cut and, his SS garb, right? Looking like he's straight up coming out from Nazi Germany. Okay. World War II, right? He gone now. Now we got Tom Homan. Completely different look. Completely different look. You see what I'm saying? So this might be a very smart move on Trump's part and could very well be a good move on Trump's part as well, because Tom, don't get me wrong, I know when Obama was in office, he was hardcore. He was deporting a lot of people. But here's the thing. It'll be more controlled. That's what I think. It won't be like this wild way. I hope it'll be more controlled and less chaotic like we're seeing right now. Because right now they're just like, take it all, take it over. We're gonna infiltrate and invade these cities with this cosplaying looking ass, this Italiano bambino looking dude, right? Now he's gone. So maybe it'll be a different approach. Okay? So maybe it'll be a different approach. That's what I'm hoping for. Doesn't mean that this guy's going to be any better. It just might be a different and better approach. Okay? Now, somebody just said something in the chat. I don't know if that's entirely true, but I'm going to look this up. There might be some breaking news here in just a minute. So just give me 2 seconds. Okay? Let me just see something if that's true. Hold on. Oh. Oh, wow. That's creepy. So Ilhan Omar apparently was attacked, sprayed something. Somebody came up and sprayed something on her. This is breaking right now. Breaking news. Hold on. Do I have a breaking news banner? I thought I did. Where is that? Dang, I thought I did. Hold on, guys. I got to do this real quick because this is insane. And never good. So breaking news, guys. Okay.
What?
I didn't mean to hit that button. I meant to hit this button. Breaking news, guys. Apparently, let's read this this caption here. It says new Representative Ilhan Omar was just charged by a man at a town hall event in Minneapolis. Crowd says he sprayed her with something. You can hear her demand to continue the town hall, and she's back to speaking now from the podium. But this is some creepy stuff. What happened?
Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment. I don't know.
Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
I need a napkin to know nothing.
I mean, I'd be like, girl, change that shirt. Change, go change out that sweater because it might be flammable. I'm just being real. Like, I don't know what that was. It could have just been, water. You know what I'm saying? It could be nothing. But at the same time, that's scary stuff. Somebody walks up, like, see, that's why, like, y'all, this is some scary stuff. And you got to remember the stuff that we're hearing out here in these streets about her right now. People are spreading all kinds of stuff about her, right? You don't think people are going to be crazy enough to try to touch her? You see what I'm saying? And look at how volatile and crazy the world is. Look at what happened to Charlie Kirk, y'all. Come on now. Whether you like Charlie Kirk or not, what happened to Charlie Kirk is crazy. It should never happen to anybody. So it could be acid. It could be anything, guys. I'm going to roll that back again. It almost looks like she tried to kick him or something. But we don't, you know what I mean? We're only seeing this one side. But that's crazy. And she's like, no, I want to continue talking, right?
Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment.
You look like she was about to punch him.
I don't know.
Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
I need a napkin to know nothing.
No, we will. No. You need to go get checked. No,
we will continue. These fucking assholes are not going to get away with it.
You need to go get checked. No, I don't know what.
Yo, I commend her for being like, I don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a damn. I'm going to keep speaking. I'm going to keep talking my talk. He's not going to stop me from saying what I need to say. And here's the other thing, too. I would just be like, does anybody have a jacket I could borrow? I don't care how oversized or small it is. I'd be like, let me take off this jacket or take off this sweater. Let me just give me 2 seconds to change the shirt and put on somebody else's jacket really quick. And let me finish what I got to say. Let me talk this talk. You see what I'm saying? So that is wild. Let's go into this a little bit real quick, but that is absolutely nuts. Hold on. That's crazy and scary because, again, this is the world that we live in right now. So many people out here just saying all kinds of terrible things about each other in the political world, and it's radicalizing a lot of people. It's not only just people that are outside in the streets protesting right now. There's plenty of people, like I said, guys, a lot of the, oh God, J6, y'all, J6, come on now, J6, okay? Hold on. That is nuts. Let's see what, I think as soon as she got sprayed, did she stop? Hold on. Okay, nope. There's more to it. Hold on. She's like, I'm going to keep talking my talk. I'm not stopping.
No, he sprayed something on you. You need to go get checked. Yeah, and it smells terrible.
We're gonna keep talking. Just give me 10 minutes.
It's like it's like he sprayed her with like some stanky juices. It could be his own bodily fluids too. You know what I'm saying? Like that could be it too, but that's just wrong. That's just wrong. And she's like, no, I'm not stopping. I'm gonna finish what I'm gonna finish what I gotta say. So let's skip ahead. And she's like, oh, and everyone's like, ooh, it smells.
Minnesota strong, and we will stay resilient in the face of whatever they might throw at us. Everybody settle down. I'm going to finish my remarks. It is important for me to continue to lead my Democratic colleagues in demanding her resignation.
We are listen, guys. We are living in some wild and crazy times. Please, guys, I just got to say this, okay? We all got to find ways to love each other, because at the end of the day, if this country is losing, we are losing. It's not just one side or the other. If the country goes poor, if it goes bankrupt, if it goes belly up, that's all of us. All of us have to deal with it, okay? We can't just be pointing fingers at each other and trying to take each other out, like, you know what I mean? Like, this could have been much worse. That could have been much worse. This is why I feel like every single elected official out here, especially the ones that have a lot of heat on them, like Ilhan Omar, they really need to make sure that they have the right kind of protection, period. This should be a huge wake-up call for her right now, and I hope it is. She better make sure she got people on deck protecting her, period. And I say this to any other elected official that ever stands up against Trump, just because of the times. These are the signs of the times, guys. Okay? Robin 19640. I worry about our country right now. I really, really do. Something's got to change very soon, because it might go off sooner than what we saw with J6. You understand? It didn't, like, J6 didn't happen until he said, I'm out, bye-bye. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? He didn't say, be good to yourselves and each other. You know what I mean? See you guys later. I'm out. And he's jumping on his plane, flying away, right? With his YMCA, you know what I mean? As he's flying away, right? And then everyone lost their minds. This might happen. I don't want it to happen. But a J6 too could happen sooner. So let's hear what she got to say really quick.
Say it over. And like I said, if she does not resign, we are going to introduce articles of impeachment. This moment in U.S. history, and particularly in Minnesota, requires all of us to be working together to preserve our democracy.
This is wild.
When we say we are going to put our lives on the line for what is our right, we mean that. Last week, my Republican colleagues put forth a Homeland Security funding bill that includes $28 billion for ICE and Border Patrol. I refuse to greenlit finding a rogue agency that and opposes our most basic freedoms. I've already stated tonight, ICE is shooting people in broad daylight, beating up teenagers, spraying tear gas on peaceful protesters, ripping people out of their cars and homes without warrant, racially profiling people based on their accent, taking kids from schools and abducting people, shipping them far away detention camps with brutal conditions and no due process. We cannot treat this as business as usual. That's why I led the entire Congressional Progressive Caucus in opposing this bill. And we as a caucus adopted an official position, and now we have gotten all of the Democratic senators to agree to that position and hold ICE accountable.
It's nuts. Nuts.
But this president's lawlessness does not stop with ICE and border enforcement. We are seeing how he's threatening Greenland and Venezuela and Iran and Cuba and Colombia. He has already taken lives in the Caribbean, and we wanted to pass a war powers resolution to hold him accountable. We are hoping for our Republican colleagues to grow a backbone and come on the right side of history. The last DC update I will mention before I take questions from you is that the House took up legislation from Minnesota member Representative Stauber that would open up hundreds of thousands of acres in our beautiful boundary waters to mining development. The boundary waters is the most visited wilderness in the US. It features peaceful, remote areas, one of the world's largest dark sky sanctuaries, and it is home to unique ecosystems, including several endangered species. And my beautiful children go hiking there and canoeing. And so it is personal to me to preserve it, not just as Minnesotan, but as a mom. Many of my colleagues here, especially Councilwoman Warren, mentioned the fact that constituent work is the backbone of what we do as your representatives. And it is no different because we are your liaison for the federal government. Our staff can please raise their hand if they're in the room. These people work for you. We can be a crucial line of advocacy for our constituents who are experiencing issues with the federal government, like irregularities, delays, and emergencies. Although it is a difficult environment we are working in right now, our duty remains the same. My district office phone line is monitored from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. Congressional casework involving ICE is unique and narrow, but we can help with locating an individual detained by ICE if they are not appearing in a detainee located system within 48 hours. Inquiring on urgent medical issues to ensure an individual is receiving appropriate medical treatment, ensuring an individual's attorney or loved ones are able to communicate with them. And importantly, our office cannot provide legal advice or assistance. If you are unsure whether we can help with a specific issue, please contact my office at 612-333-1272. I'll repeat that again, 612-333-1272. And we will review whatever detail you want us to review.
This is just very weird what happened here. I'll roll it back again.
As it's been said, real justice and accountability starts with full, transparent investigation and legal action against ICE, followed by the abolishment of the agency. ICE cannot be reformed. It cannot be rehabilitated. We must abolish ICE for good. and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment.
What is he saying? What the hell is he saying? Do you know what he's saying? Anybody could hear what he's saying?
Or face impeachment. I don't know.
Like what is he saying? Is he saying Elon must resign? Maybe he is saying that. I don't know what he's saying, but that is a very strange thing. Like of all things, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna spray her with smelly juices. Like, why would you do that? Like, real talk. I mean, she should really see what's he sprayed her with. You know what I'm saying? Because it looked like just like he had like a little squeeze bottle type thing, you know, and he's just spraying her with that, you know, he's squeezing it on her. What the hell is it, right? That's the one thing I'd like to know. But here's something.
Heard of a disturbance at Ilhan Omar's town hall in Minneapolis, the representative there. This, of course, comes as tensions are still high after the shooting of Alex Pretti. Let's take a listen.
I don't know.
And for more now, we're joined by Jay O'Brien. Hard to see exactly from that vantage point exactly what happened. What can you tell us, Jay?
Yeah, Lindsay. So the Capitol Hill team and I have been monitoring this town hall of Ilhan Omar's because it's being held in Minneapolis. And Omar had been in the president's crosshairs for really months here. He's ramped up criticism of her for a long time now. And of course, as these events have reached a boiling point in Minneapolis, we were waiting to see exactly what would transpire in this town hall. And what exactly precipitated this video that you're seeing now on your screen was Omar was calling for, as she has in the past, ICE to be abolished. She also said that Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem should be removed from her job.
Hell yeah,
and she was saying that man you saw in the beginning of the clip seemed to charge. You're looking at the moment there, the podium, those in the crowd.
I mean, he even looks greasy. You know what I'm saying? He even looks greasy. I wouldn't be surprised if that was his own bodily fluids. I'm going to be real. Like, he just looks nasty. Doesn't he look a little like, you know what I mean? Doesn't he look a little nasty? You know what I'm saying? A little greasy.
Charge. You're looking at
like he ain't had a shower in a couple days. He look hella greasy, you know? But okay, let's continue.
The moment there, the podium, those in the crowd, according to the audio that we heard of this interaction, say that he sprayed her with something. We don't know what that is. And those in the crowd seem to have not known what that was. The man was immediately detained by what looks like private security. You can see there on the side. And what you don't see in this video is Congresswoman Omar saying that she wants to continue the town hall. And those around her say that they want her to end the town hall. There are concerns for her safety. There are concerns about what exactly may have been sprayed on her. And she says that she wants to continue the town hall. And she says, and I have to bleep the language here, but these bleeping bleep won't stop her, to paraphrase the rest, from continuing her remarks. So as I look here on the feed down here, she is continuing to speak. The town hall goes on, but obviously this flashpoint, this interaction coming really in the early moments of it beginning.
Okay, so she did continue on, and just give us a little bit of a sense. Obviously, we know that she and President Trump have traded barbs back and forth before, but this latest, the ICE ramp-ups have happened in her district there in Minnesota. Give us a sense of what her stance is on these ICE raids.
I mean, we already heard her stance on the ICE raids, so we don't really need to go into that. I was looking to see if they knew what, like, if they found out what kind of fluid it was that was sprayed on her. But in my mind, I'm like, what? The only other thing I can think of Like, I don't see him just going up and saying, I'm going to spray her with water. Like, I just don't see that. Why would he go up unless he's just that insane? Like, I'm going to spray her with water. It's going to be so naughty. It just doesn't make sense to me for him to go up and spray her with just water. I think there's something else going on. Like, I feel like it's, it's probably something more disgusting. I hate to say that, but I'm sure it's something more disgusting. Bodily fluid of some sort, urine or something else, if you get what I'm saying. I didn't see it as a pepper spray because she said it smelled. And if she got sprayed by a pepper spray, let me tell you something. That would have cleared the room. They're in an enclosed place. She would have been like coughing, choking up, all that. She would have been a slobbering mess at that podium, and everybody around her would have been reacting the same way too. So if it was acid, it didn't look like it because it's not like she was like ripping her sweater off. You see what I'm saying? It didn't look like it was eating away at anything. She's like, no, I'm going to continue. So I think it was like, it could just be urine, like I said, I think it's bodily fluids, which is gross. And he looks like the type. You saw how greasy he was. He was greasy. All right. So interesting. Let's talk about Kristi Noem for a second, shall we? Let's get into that.
We have learned Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem requested a meeting at the White House last night.
Really now? She's going in there being like, please, Trumpy, please don't let me lose my job. That's probably what's happening right now. She's like, please, I don't want to lose my job. Okay, we made some errors on the Alex Pretti situation, and Trump's like, well, there's videos everywhere, so you couldn't just get away with this lie, sweetheart. So what do you think I need to do? What do I need to do? What do you think is the best thing for you, right?
Sources telling ABC News President Trump met with Secretary Noem for 2 hours in the Oval Office.
Damn, 2
today,
hours.
The president was asked, will Secretary Noem step down? Is her job safe tonight? Mary Bruce at the White House.
Let's find out.
Tonight, President Trump standing by embattled Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem after she falsely accused Alex Pretti of, quote, brandishing his gun and said the ICU nurse was there to, quote, kill law enforcement.
Oh, let's not forget this, by the way, guys. Also, Trisha McLaughlin, okay, of the McLaughlin clan, she should also resign because she was the first person to come out and say that this man, Alex Pretti, was brandishing a weapon. The mouthpiece for the DHS made the comment first. And then the dominoes all knocked over as well. So she should also resign as well. Sorry, mouthpiece needs to go bye-bye. Kristi Noem needs to go bye-bye. Bovino already gone. That's what they need to do.
I think she's doing a very good job.
Sources tell ABC News Kristi Noem went to the White House to make her case to the president last night, requesting a meeting after Trump announced border czar Tom Homan would take over operations in Minnesota. Their Oval Office sit-down, sources say, lasted more than 2 hours. Not in the room, Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, one of the main architects of Trump's hardline immigration crackdown. In the hours after Pretti was killed, Miller posted that the ICU nurse was an assassin, a comment reposted by Vice President J.D. Vance. Today,
why would let me just say something real quick, okay? You have somebody who's out here calling Alex Pretti an assassin. An assassin tried to unalive, the federal agents, and this is your response. Now, first off, let me just say this. Then after that, directly after that, you have weak sauce, turncoat, J.D. Vance retweet the damn tweet. Sorry, dun dun dun. Miss me with that nonsense. You have got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. Perfect example of them not doing their research or even doing the simplest, easiest of due diligence and just retweeting whatever the popular kid in school has tweeted. Let's be real, guys. You got JD Vance himself retweeting this ish and saying, yeah, that guy was an assassin. What? What? So JD Vance really is a peon. He really is a pushover. He really is. He really is. At this point, like, what the is going on? Retweeting YouTube videos instead of them actually doing their due diligence. Okay? Instead of them doing their due diligence, they just retweet these videos and go, that entire thing is true. That's a true patriot right there, that Nick Shirley. What he did was brave and patriotic. Are you kidding me? Why don't you do your own independent research, independent investigation, and not just believe what you see entirely in a YouTube video? That's some lazy work, y'all. Lazy work. Even JD Vance retweeted this. That is our future. Just so you know, that is a future candidate for 2028. That is if we actually see an election in 2028. JD Vance is the guy that's going to be running. You don't think he's been out here talking more than Pence ever did in 4 years? You don't think he's doing everything he can to slide on in so everybody gets used to JD Vance and his voice and his rhetoric and how he talks and his timbre and all that? Come on, guys. Sloppy work, y'all. Lazy, sloppy work. Sorry, I'm calling it what I call balls and strikes, guys. This is bad.
Miller accompanying Trump to Iowa. The president asked about Miller's comments.
Do you think he was acting as an assassin in Minneapolis?
Who is that?
Mr. Pretti, your deputy chief of staff said
not
that.
isn't it? No.
But Trump then shifting blame to Pretti, saying he shouldn't have been carrying a gun, even though he had a permit and never drew his weapon.
With that being said, you can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns. You just can't. And you can't, listen, you can't walk in with guns. You can't do that. But it's just a very unfortunate incident.
Trump has championed gun rights for years, including the right of people to protest while carrying weapons. But later in the day, he doubled down, criticizing Pretti again for being armed.
I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff.
Tonight, Gun Owners of America responding. Peaceful protests while armed isn't radical, it's American. The First and Second Amendments protect those rights, and they always have.
Again, David.
Gun Owners of America said that. And then also NRA. The NRA has spoken out, and they're demanding a full investigation into what happened to Alex Pretti. The NRA is even doing that. The NRA is saying that what happened here is not right. And Pretty's name needs to be cleared. The NRA. So again, guys, it's just Kristi Noem needs to step down. I truly think that Stephen Miller needs to step down. Any person that went out of their way to quickly say that Alex Pretti was any type of domestic terrorist, an assassin, any of those things, all of them need to sit down and write their resignation letters right now. This should not be an example of how our country is being ran. This should not be how our administration should be looking at all. So they just lead with prejudice instead of waiting for due process to be done. Think about that, guys. They just think just because he was out there and saying F ICE, that this guy was an unhinged domestic terrorist before they even look at the information. What if this guy was, you see what I'm saying? If this was a different situation, if this was if race was involved in this situation, how would they respond? Because I already know how the rest of the world would respond. They would respond with that guttural, racist reaction like they always do. There's still a good portion of the world that is good and not racist, okay? But at the same time, that peanut gallery that's out there on the internet, those keyboard warriors would be quick to judgment before they even get the facts. That is not how our country and our administration should be. That should not be how these guys like Miller and Noam and McLaughlin and Bovino, they should not be doing what they're doing right now. They need to come forward with these pieces of information in the best, most diplomatic, and most common sense type of way. But what are they doing right here? They jumped the gun, they made assumptions, and they expected the American people to believe it. And what's so sad about it is some people believe it because of these individuals saying it. These individuals need to get their jobs taken from them. That's what I think. There should be zero tolerance on this. It's the same thing like Pam Bondi should have been lost her job. Yeah, I'll say it again. Pam Bondi should not have had her job when she lied to the American people as well about the Epi files. Oh, and by the way, where are they at? Last I checked, they're still not here. And she still got her job. And listen to Trump being like, "Oh, she's a good woman. She's a good person. I like her." Right? Instead of doing what he used to do, which is, "Oh, you mucking it up? You're fired." That's it. You didn't go across Brooklyn Bridge and come back with a cheesecake for me? I mean, that's Diddy. Sorry. You get what I'm saying, though, right? This is the world that we live in, guys. So let's get into this. There was another shooting that happened apparently involving an illegal. So let's take a look.
Breaking news as we were having that conversation about some of the ICE operations that are happening in Minnesota. The Associated Press putting this down a few moments ago. This is there saying that a person is now in critical condition after a shooting involved Border Patrol near the U.S.-Mexico border, according to those Arizona officials. Thank you so much to my producers for bringing me the very latest. I have something I want to read to you here from the Associated Press, saying there from their article that one person was shot and is in critical condition today in a shooting involving the Border Patrol near the U.S.-Mexico border. The Pima County Sheriff's Department said that it was working with the FBI and U.S. Customs and Border Protection in response to the shooting there in the Arivaca community there in Arizona. It's a community about 10 miles there from the border. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol and the FBI did not immediately respond to emails and telephone calls seeking any additional information, but the Santa Rita Fire District said that it responded to that shooting and the person who was wounded was in custody, saying that the patient care was transferred to a local medical helicopter for rapid transport to a regional trauma center.
So the guy is critically injured, and I've seen some of this press conference. We're only going to play like the very beginning of it so we can just hear what they say about what happened here. And I'm just going to ask you, is this the truth or is this not? Let's take a listen to what they got to say.
You guys let me know when you're ready. And I have a couple of introductions to make here, and then I'll give you a brief statement, and then you can, I believe, FBI SAC, he's out of Phoenix, Heath Yankee has a few words to say as well. When we're both done, we'll take your questions as well. Okay. So are you guys ready? Good evening. My name is Chris Nanos. I'm the sheriff here in Pima County, and we're here to talk about an incident that happened earlier this morning in a community that's just south of Tucson, about 35 miles south of here, in the town of Arivaca, actually just south of Arivaca. Arivaca is 35 miles from Tucson. It's about 10 miles north of the border. The incident was pretty clear cut, but I'd like to give you, I think you have a media release with some of this details, but I'll share it with you anyway. Again, it involves an individual who early this morning was being pursued by a Border Patrol agent. They had belief that this individual was involved in human trafficking from an earlier incident. They recognized his vehicle, made a traffic stop. When they made that traffic stop, the lone occupant, the driver, fled on foot. The agent, the Border Patrol agent, chased after him on foot. Shortly thereafter, shots were fired from the suspect, and the agent returned fire. The suspect was hit and is currently in one of our local hospitals here, being treated for his injuries. His condition, I believe, is listed as serious but stable. The agent was not injured in any way, to our knowledge.
So a guy was trying to run from Border Patrol. He had a weapon. This is what they're claiming. He pulled the trigger at this Border Patrol agent. The Border Patrol agent returned fire, hurting him severely because now he's in critical condition. So here's what's interesting. These guys, most of these guys do not have body cams on them. So how much of this is real and how much of this is not real, right? I'm sorry. Once we heard what happened a couple days ago, literally it happened a couple days ago, guys. And now we have another shooting. What is going to happen? What's going to happen here? Are we going to have a situation where we have every other tragic situation that involves a pew-pew is going to be a death? Look, you got Renee Nicole Good. Then you had a guy, a migrant, illegal, allegedly trying to attack an ICE agent. That ICE agent pulled the trigger, shooting the guy in the leg, from what we understand. That guy's fine. He's going to live, right? Then after that, we got another shooting that happened. Well, actually, there was another shooting out in LA. They say, which was surprising enough to me, was that particular person that they were trying to detain didn't have a weapon, which is also interesting. But there was a shootout, and they never explained what actually happened, by the way. But there was a shootout. And then you have Alex Pretti, which we all saw every angle, nook, and cranny of his demise. Now you got another shooting that just happened. I mean, it's been, 48 hours? But today's 72 hours or so since he lost his life? Maybe a little bit more. I can't do the math in my head right now. What is going to happen? Is the next one going to be someone dead? I'm just saying, think about it for a second, y'all. Yeah, Joanne Marie. Yeah, it seems like he's not fully 100% on what he's saying too, right? And someone just asked, did we already talk about the Ilhan Omar thing? Yes, we did. We already talked about the Ilhan Omar situation, which is, so just scroll back and check it out, because we checked it out when it broke. But that's, how much can we believe what's being said here? Unfortunately, we're in that time now, But let's hear a little bit more.
This is a really ongoing investigation. There's a lot more work to do here, particularly in terms of gathering information from any witnesses and collecting and gathering physical evidence that may be out there in the field, as well as any type of video evidence that we might be able to obtain as well. So with that, I'm going to introduce a couple of people here. First of all, John Edwards is with the FBI office. He's here in Tucson, the ASAC. And then his boss is Heath Yankee. He is the SAC out of Phoenix. He's the FBI head of the Phoenix or the state office here in Arizona. I can't stress this enough. This is something we do all the time. Pima County, we take great pride in the fact that we were the first agency in the state to coordinate with all of its law enforcement agencies. There's 11 of those agencies in this valley of Tucson to coordinate our efforts when it comes to critical incidents such as this. We created what is known as PCRIT. It's our Pima County Regional Officer Incident Team. And it combines effort from all regional partners in the valley. Whenever an incident like this occurs, the agency involved in that incident, particularly say today's incident, where there's a shooting, that agency steps aside and allows all the other agencies to come in and investigate for that, for the obvious reason, right? It's transparency, we know that, but it also gives that agency some relief in deconflicting any kind of concerns that may come up from that. It's all about public trust. We get that here in Pima County. And this is something we've been doing for a number of years. Assisting our federal partners is no different than any other law enforcement agency. We've been tied to our federal partners in similar incidents like this going back for decades. I've been around for almost 50 years here, and I remember my time in homicide, and this was just routine for us. If you're involved in a critical incident, no matter what agency you're with, you call the sheriff's department, we'll step up and help you with that investigative effort and work alongside our partners daily. That's the benefit of working and living here in Pima County. Is every law enforcement agency head gets along in a great way. We help each other out. I think if you talk to some of your local media here with you, they'll tell you the same. This is rather unique for us in terms of being the first critical incident team that uses all agencies in the Valley to work together. So with that, I'm going to let Mr. Yonke come up, give a few remarks, and then from there, we'll take your questions.
Thank you, Sheriff.
I'm just going to listen to a little bit.
Good afternoon. I'm Heath Yonke, the Special Agent in Charge of the FBI's Phoenix Division. The FBI, through our Tucson office, is leading the federal investigation on the assault of a federal officer, which occurred at approximately 7:30 this morning. We are working this jointly with the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the Custom and Border Protection's Office of Professional Responsibility. Our FBI Violent Crime and Gang Task Force, which includes both the Sheriff's Department and CBP OPR, have been out processing the scene and continuing the investigation. We have and will continue to conduct witness, victim, and subject interviews, review and analyze surveillance footage, and recover and analyze evidence. In order to be transparent with the community, preliminary information as we know it at this time is: while reacting to an active alien smuggling matter, CBP agents came into contact with the subject. During the attempt to apprehend him, the subject used a firearm to shoot at a manned CBP helicopter. The subject continued to flee on foot while being pursued by CBP agents who returned fire. The subject was shot. Aid was rendered by the CBP agents. The subject was transported to the hospital, underwent surgery, and is currently in recovery at this time. The subject, Patrick Gary Schlegel, age 34, and a resident of Arizona, is currently in federal custody. Schlegel has a significant criminal history, to include an active federal arrest warrant issued in 2025 by the U.S. Marshals Service for escape related to a previous federal alien smuggling conviction. Schlegel is expected to be charged via a criminal complaint in the District of Arizona with 3 charges: assault on a federal officer, alien smuggling, and felon in possession of a firearm. We would ask for the community's patience in allowing the investigative and prosecutive process to continue. Let me be clear. Any assault on law enforcement officers will not be tolerated. The FBI will continue to vigorously investigate those who harm or threaten to do harm to those who wear the badge. Thank you.
Okay, so we got that breakdown. So apparently he was this particular person that they were trying to detain was firing at the helicopter, like at a helicopter, which is crazy. Of course, they were able to, they returned fire. Of course, he got hurt, and they were able to detain him, and now he's in the hospital. But that's some wild stuff, guys. That is some wild stuff. That's some very interesting claims. An interesting story. Hold on, I got to pull something up here because apparently, this is interesting. It looks like Kristi Noem is trying to blame Stephen Miller for the whole situation, for the whole thing of her going on to this press conference and saying that this man was brandishing a weapon and he was looking to neutralize these officers X, Y, and Z. Because she's freaking out. Let's be real. She's freaking out. She has been kind of stepped over by Trump. Obviously, there was a 2-hour conversation that they had today. She is literally, I feel, she is in the brink of losing her job. So she is fighting for her job because this will be very embarrassing for her. Absolutely. But she's also trying to put the blame on the likes of someone like Dr. Evil. So blame game erupts over Trump's team false claim about Alex Pretti sought to, take people out. All of these guys need to step down. That's what I truly think. He needs to just fire them all. Fire them all, in my personal opinion, especially those two, especially Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller. But here, okay, so Kristi Noem is under fire for issuing misleading and incendiary information that claimed immigration agents unalived an unarmed Minnesota protester Saturday because he wanted to massacre them. The language has now become a source of controversy in the Trump administration, which we've been seeing as of late. Trump is trying to step back. He's trying to diffuse, whichever way you want to see it. Okay. He is trying everything he can to look good. And it's looking really bad for Trump right now. It's looking bad. He's polling apparently terribly. He's polling terribly now because of what happened with this situation. I mean, both of them back to back within less than a month of each other. Yeah, this is not good. These guys came out, got super overzealous and extremely violent, and now we have two people gone because of their overzealousness. And the audacity of Stephen Miller, Tricia McLaughlin, Kristi Noem, Gregory Bovino, all of them coming out and saying what they said was absolutely wrong. White House officials are now blaming Customs and Border Patrol for furnishing incorrect information, while others are targeting Stephen Miller, White House Deputy Chief of Staff and top Trump advisor. 6 sources with knowledge of the situation told Axios. Why it matters. The episode illustrates the confusion that gripped the administration after there shouldn't have been any confusion. But the fact that there was confusion that gripped the administration after this Saturday demise of Alex Pretti, okay, and it shows that the influence of Miller, Trump's close and longest-serving political advisor, whose dominion, beautiful name, beautiful word, dominion in the White House far exceeds his title. He is an influencer inside the entire building, entire White House. That is a big deal. He is an energy, and he may not be a great energy, just to be completely honest. Moving on, Miller's power extends to de facto oversight of Noem, though she's a cabinet secretary who technically outranks him. Everything I've done it at the direction of the president and Stephen. This is what Noem told a person who relayed her remarks to Axios. So she's like, everything I do, I've done for Trump and for Miller. How can they do this to me? That's crazy, right? She outranks Stephen Miller, Dr. Evil, but she's still sitting there and going, whatever you say, sir. Ain't that weird? But here's the thing. That shows you that she needs to step down, because if she outranks Stephen Miller and she's still bowing to a guy who is in a lower rank than her, that shows you that she has no independent thought, that she's just literally a robot. She is a sycophantic robot and will do anything to keep Trump happy. That is not somebody that should be in that position, in that department. No independent thinker. Yeah, no backbone. None of that whatsoever? Nah, she shouldn't have this job. But that's the thing, too. Even Stephen Miller, if he's trying to outrank, like trying to step over his own rank and trying to control the likes of Kristi Noem, no, he should know his place. And that's a problem as well. He should not have his job anymore. So zooming in immediately after Pretti lost his life, about 10:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, administration officials in Washington, knew they had a potential disaster on their hands, but had little information. So the officers directly involved in this tragedy all shut up and got lawyers real quick. So there wasn't a lot of information. One source briefed on the statement said the CBP officers on the ground furnished a report that White House officials told Axios left officials with the belief that Pretti had brandished a gun. Miller heard gun and knew what the narrative would be. Pretti came to massacre these cops. As a source briefed on the process of assembling the press statement said. Early comments made were based on information sent to the White House through CBP. Miller told Axios in response to an earlier version of this story in which others blamed him for the massacre statement. Yeah, because he's the one who put it out there. He's the one who said that. So, friction point. DHS posted the statement at 12:31 p.m. on X. Some White House officials have signed off on the statement. Yes, they did. Oh, they did. A lot of people even retweeted it, including our Vice President of these United States, J.D. Turncoat Vance. Moving on. But others had not, leaving them frustrated. Others within the White House attempted to clean up the DHS statement prior to it being sent, but it had already been disseminated. Okay? So President Trump was kept apprised of the statement by Miller and Noem's top advisor, Corey Lewandowski. Now, from my understanding, Lewandowski and Kristi Noem are there, knocking the boots. You know what I'm saying? Funky dope loving. You know what I mean? They knocking that boots, allegedly. Allegedly. That's the rumor that's going on. One of Trump's former campaign managers in 2016, according to two sources. So Miller posted on X, minutes after the DHS statement, Miller posted on X and called Pretti an assassin, which a source said was also based on a preliminary report from Customs and Border Patrol. So it starts with Border Patrol, goes up to the likes of Stephen Miller, Dr. Evil, and then he said, oh, cool, I heard gun, so they bad. He bad. Oh, he had a gun on him? Oh, he did that. Yeah, he an evildoer. He's a domestic terrorist. So let's go ahead and make that statement really quick so we can get that out there so everybody can, so mom Paul's in the middle of the country can be calm and know that we just took out a bad guy. When in actuality, that didn't happen at all. Remember, I said, I'm going to say it again, Vice President Vance then reposted it on his page. And everybody and their mama, let's not forget, he is the second in line to running this free world, as free as we know it is, Second in line from Trump. Mr. Common Sense, Vice President Common Sense, reposted this tweet without doing his own due diligence either. He took it at face value as if it was scripture. And what happened? That's why everybody and their mama's losing their doggone minds. Moving on. Noem subsequently used that language at a news conference, as did Border Patrol Commander Bovino, overseeing operations in the Twin Cities. Bovino should be blamed for the misinformation about Pretti, not Stephen, a White House source said, adding that Bovino supplied the details about this shooting to those in D.C. Yes, it starts with Bovino, but it ends with us. See what I did there? I'm kidding. Bloque. Moving on. Noem, 2 days after Pretti It ends with Kristi Noem. It starts with Bovino, but it ends with Noem. Because she doubled down. And her job is to look into all of that information before she did that press conference. But she didn't do that. She just took whatever was said and took it as face value. Your job is to think independently and do your due diligence. And she did not do that. Now, did she? Moving on. He should be blamed. Bovino, I agree. Heads will roll. During her press conference, Noem is also inaccurately suggested Pretti was brandishing his weapon, although videos showed he never reached for his weapon and had been disarmed before he was actually neutralized. So, as more videos from bystanders and observers contradicted the official narrative over the weekend, Trump became agitated with what he saw on TV and social media and decided to make changes in the Minnesota operation. So on Monday, he dispatched border czar Tom Homan, a critic of the heavy-handed law enforcement efforts pushed by Miller. Between the lines, Miller said the Minnesota operation didn't follow the guidelines established by the White House in the aftermath of the January 7th unaliving of another Minneapolis demonstrator, Renee Good. Specifically, Miller said Bovino's crew, Dr. Evil said this, Bovino's crew was supposed to divide its force into two groups. One unit was supposed to handle the arrests of specifically targeted criminal aliens, and the other squad was in charge of crowd control to keep disruptors from interfering. The White House provided clear guidance to DHS that the extra personnel that had been sent to Minnesota for force protection should be used for conducting fugitive operations to create a physical barrier between the arrest teams and the disruptors. This is what Stephen Miller, Dr. Evil, was saying. We are evaluating why the CBP team may not have been following that protocol. There's nothing to look into. They were being bungholes. Let's be real. They were being buttholes. All right, love. They were being buttholes. That's all. They got into their fifis and they started putting the hands on people that weren't even, they weren't even at the area. They weren't even at the door of where they were trying to go and get the bad guy, right? And get this criminal alien, right? They were on the street. So inside the room, Noam on Monday night, had a 2-hour meeting, which we heard about, the meeting with Trump at the White House to discuss the matter. She's a loyal person and she wanted her voice heard, one source said. She made sure to convey her loyalty. That doesn't change the muck up that she just made. Massive, massive, massive muck up. Miller wasn't in the meeting. Thank God he wasn't. Neither was Homan, with whom Noam has feuded. So they don't get along. Apparently, Homan was already en route to Minnesota by then because Trump said, "You've done enough. We need to bring him in. You really screwed the pooch on this." Noam has complained to others that she feels she's being hung out to dry over the episode and has made sure to emphasize she took direction from Miller and the president, as a source told Axios. So she's throwing not only just Stephen Miller, but she's also throwing the president under the bus as well. Wow. Trump's move was a rare break from Miller, who remains one of Trump's closest advisors, sources say. Stephen Miller is one of President Trump's most trusted and longest serving aides. The president loves Stephen. The White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt told Axios. Trump and Leavitt also repeatedly praised Noam, despite rumors to the contrary. Noam's job is safe, White officials say. She's doing the job the president wants her to do. There's no daylight here. So they just on each other like glue. Interesting, right? Interesting. So there you have it, guys. I mean, again, we I think that's it. Yeah. So they're saying that they Gucci, that everything's fine, but she was trying to throw Stephen Miller under the bus. In fact, she even tried to throw blame on Trump too. But he is the leader. He is the man telling how things should be done and how things shouldn't be done. But here's the thing too. She has a responsibility as being the head of the Department of Homeland Security. She's supposed to be making those hard choices. She's supposed to be doing her due diligence and looking into things, investigating into things for herself independently. It takes 2 seconds to pull up your phone and pull up a video that's going viral on X. Takes 2 seconds to do that and just see it for yourself. Maybe not 2 seconds, but it takes it takes 5 minutes or so to just take a look at something. But she didn't do that. Now, did she? She just went with whatever Stephen Miller said and what Gregory Bovino said. That is not, I repeat, that is not an example of leadership. That is not. That is an example of somebody who wants to be led. Let's get into the super chats. Nicole, thank you so much, Nicole B. I appreciate it. Pascal, I'm really sorry about the TMZ debacle. It's all good. I'm happy. You know your worth. Stay up, Pascallywags. Thank you so much. It's all good. Maybe one day, just not right now. I'm not, like I said, the TMZ thing was an experience. I'm glad I had that experience. And it makes me realize that I don't ever want to do that to anybody too. You see what I'm saying? Like any guests that come onto the show or people who are dedicating their time, willing to be on the show for the free. You see what I'm saying? Like, people's time is precious and it's valuable. I get it. That's what live TV is, especially with the news, blah, blah, blah. It happens on this show all the time where I have a plan to do something. And then like that whole thing with Omar that just happened, you know what I mean? Like curveballs happen, that I understand. But when it's like back to back like that every time, no, that's not cool. That's not cool. But, another time, someday soon, maybe it'll be a different thing where, I'm featured on there and I'm there for a much bigger reason, other than just being like, hi, Pascal. So this is what I think about Blake Lively's dress. You just know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong, that's cool too. But at the same time, like, that's why I appreciate these other platforms, like News Nation and Court TV, Law and Crime. They it's like you're coming on the show and you're on that show. It's not like it's not double Dutch, where you're going, am I going in now? No, I'm not. Okay, now? No. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate those platforms. So shout out to Court TV, News Nation, Law and Crime, even TMZ too. You know what I mean? They doing their thing. Real talk. Shout out to them. Well, let's continue on. Thank you so much for the support, though. General Genobi, what's up? How you doing? Pascal, can you cover sometime the breaking story when Big Balls and Doge downloaded the security and social security information last year? I heard about this, but I haven't seen it yet. I haven't had time. I'm going to look into it, though. It's reported all that private info was shared out, millions of numbers. That is insane. I am going to look into that for sure, because I saw it in a post earlier today. I just haven't had a chance to really dive into that one yet. So I'll look into that. Madeline, thank you so much for the love. Alex Pretti was murked by government-funded domestic terrorist, period. Yeah. He was murked. I agree. Absolutely. I completely 110% agree. Happy days. Thank you so much for the love. This incident is meant to show protesters are insurrectionists, to push that agenda and get protesting outlawed. Imagine where we will live by then. Sitting ducks. Yeah, protect the right to protest, even if you're a conservative. I agree 110% on that. That is a concern I have too. Because here's the thing. If you're not allowed, okay, if you're not allowed to just go out and speak your mind, if you're not allowed to protest and exercise your First Amendment, shoot, they're violating First Amendment rights out here, because there are people out here that are getting detained unjustifiably. They're just standing there saying, F you, bro, and then they're getting detained. They're not saying, okay, don't cross this crack in the sidewalk. If you cross this crack in this sidewalk, I'm arresting your ass. That person will be on that side, not even touch the crack in the sidewalk, and these ICE agents are running up and detaining them just because they said something that they didn't like. Or they're blasting them in the face with pepper spray unjustifiably. Think about that. First Amendment rights are being violated. Fourth Amendment rights are being violated by many out there in Minneapolis as well, and other cities as well. And then let's not forget our Second Amendment right now too, because he's basically saying, Trump is saying, don't bring guns to protests. That's not right. That's not right. That's not constitutionally true. That's not constitutionally right. That's violating our Second Amendment right. So again, I fear, and I'm not trying to be a fearmonger, I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy, okay? But I worry that things are about to, start going south very fast. But he is also very concerned about being liked. And he's really concerned about these midterms. That's what he cares about right now. He doesn't want to see a sea of blue. He wants to see red, 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 red all day long. And he will try anything he can to do it legally. I'm going to say that again. He's going to try everything he can to do it legally until he can't do it legally. Just saying. Moving on. Shirley, thank you so much for the love. A criminal wanted criminals out of America. Yeah. I mean, he really is, he really is. But I mean, technically he is. But yeah, that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. Gemini, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome. Just like Gemini, please consider becoming a member by hitting that join button down below. Check it out. Beautiful Disaster, thank you so much for being a member for the past 3 months. I appreciate it. They have all proved to US who they are. Believe them. Yes, I've said this before. They're showing us exactly who they is. So we might as well start believing exactly who they is. So yes, beautifully said. Beautiful Disaster. See what I did there? See what I did there? Moving on. Angel, thank you so much for being a member for the past month. I appreciate it. Thanks for what you are doing. I appreciate it. It ain't easy, okay? These kind of conversations ain't easy. I'm going to be real. They're not. I mean, we could talk about true crime stuff all day long. I already did one, a video this morning. Please go check it out. We got this young boy, Thomas Medlin, missing out in New York City. Of course, we some of those true crime cases can get very polarizing as well. Okay, not every single one's a cakewalk, but when it comes to talking about politics, it can be really, really difficult out here. Okay, because everyone has a bias. Even myself, we all have a bias. We all have a point of view. We all have an opinion. And we all think we know how to drive this car, even though we're in the back seat of the car and we don't have our license. Well, we all believe that we know how to drive this car. Trust me, we all do it, but it can be very polarizing. And I wish it wasn't like that, right? I really wish it wasn't like that. I wish we lived in a different world where we can have more open conversations without judgment, and just talk. And I'm hoping that, slowly but surely we have these kind of conversations on this show. Not every day do we see eye to eye. What else is new? Especially when it's political. But at least we start to listen to each other. And then, use that opportunity to think for ourselves. Take what was talked about in the show, talked about in the family chat, and use that as an opportunity to, take that home, take that with you. Think about those things. Ruminate. wax political with yourself or with other people that you care about, and to hear their opinions. That's why I'm always big on listening to as many different political pundits and different opinions as you can. Some of it can be hard to listen to, right? Because some of it's just like, clearly you're just there for the bag. I'm going to be real. Clearly you're just there for the bag, and you're just saying the same stuff that all these other people are saying. But you might be able, as you're looking for all this, or listening to all these things, you might be able to find that independent voice that you may not agree with all the time, but you appreciate what they're saying, And I've been able to get lucky to find some voices like that, But then at the same time, it's either you are red or you are blue. There is no purple in the middle. You know what I mean? It really is tough because everybody's worried about their bag. Everybody wants their bag, baby. That's why you see a lot like the right-wing people. It is a gold mine over there. It's a mother-loving gold mine. I don't think you understand this, guys. It is a gold mine over there. Because I got to be real, the internet is it's very conservative. Sorry to say that, but the internet is very conservative. And you can tell because you see how many of these conservative pundits that are out here that are just going, like, it's just going ham. And they all say the same talking points. They all do the same stuff. They're all wearing the same clothes. Like I said, welcome to 1776, 1990. What am I saying? Welcome to 1776, 911. Whoop, whoop. Right? Like, we're going to check this out. We're going to check out this video. We're going to do a breakdown moment by moment about what happened to Alex Pretti. And we're going to show you guys whether or not it was justified or not. Let's roll the film. Yeah, welcome to 1776 911. Whoop, whoop. Semper Fi, mother. A new addition to the show. I got one of my brothers, Navy SEAL. He's here. And they're all tatted up and they're all roided out. And they're talking on this thing. And you got all these guys that are making crazy money, okay? Because the right, it's very lucrative. It's extremely lucrative. And if you stay on those talking points and you say those things right, woo, you can make some serious money. Oh, snap. And if you black, you're going to make mother-loving money. Okay? Sorry. Just go take a look. I'm sorry, it's true. Take a look at those black conservatives out there. There's nothing wrong with it. Hey, do you boo-boo. Do you boo-boo. Make your money. I don't care. Okay, I ain't pocket watching. I just acknowledge it. You know what I'm saying? But if you black, you conservative, you are sitting on a gold mine, baby. All you got to do is say that, you know what I mean? America, 1776. Everybody like, and he's black. I'm not racist. He's black. Right? You see what I'm saying? MAGA, make America great again. Trump, amazing. Common sense, obliterated. Fake news. And all of a sudden, people's minds get blown. Okay? Okay? Oh, yeah. And then let's not forget, call Trump daddy. Okay? Okay? Like I said, there's plenty of the dudes out here that do that. Okay? Or they see a video and they side with instantly side with whatever the right is saying at that time. You can smell them out pretty quickly. But don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that all right-wing conservatives are like this. Not all of them are like this. But there are that are just like that. And white, black, doesn't matter what race. I'm just pointing out the black conservatives, they're properly minted, love. Properly minted. Okay? They make some crazy money. But they're just hitting the same notes and the same trigger words and the same code words, etc., like you hear from Trump. They just reiterate that same stuff and people listen to it because the internet's mostly right wing. It really is. it's really conservative, the internet. So you just see that, but eventually, as you listen to a bunch of stuff, you get through, you rifle through the mucky muck. You find somebody that's pretty right wing, or you find somebody that's, fairly left, but isn't super left. You know what I mean? You just find those little diamonds in the rough, but they're not like people who have like huge prominent platforms or anything of that sort, where they have like millions of followers or something like that. Like, they haven't been touched. They haven't been influenced yet. And you get to hear something refreshing, something different, other than just, oh, okay, these are the same talking points that Ben Shapiro just did 5 seconds ago. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I keep saying, like, look for your stuff, listen to things, even go down that route that maybe you don't want to go down that route, but you never know. You might find something really good there. You see what I'm saying? Because there's more than just Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro's and the Cal Kalinskis and the breaking points and you see what I'm saying? And the why am I forgetting his name? Oh shoot, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name right now. Like I could see his face, but I don't remember his name right now. But like the Tim Pools, that's not the person I was thinking of, but like the Tim Pools and all that. You just listen to a whole bunch of things, and eventually you find people that you give a damn about. You know what I mean? Beautiful. Thank you so much again. Beautiful disaster. I appreciate it. I understand electing a non-politician to see possible change. Or I understood electing a non-politician to see possible change. Yeah. As we saw it, should have been done a second time. The man doesn't understand our bare minimum. Yeah. I mean, clearly we, I think people were hoping for a rock star, for like a punk rock star, right? And especially in the second time around, it's like, yo, we're tired of this presidential aura, right? It's time for something different. And some people are like, man, I miss Trump. Like Trump was better than what we were dealing with Biden, so on and so forth, right? So then he gets elected back in, and now we're back to the other stuff, the toxic stuff. The toxicity. You know what I'm saying? We're back to that, though. It's that energy, too. And again, he's saying we're the hottest country. And I go, where? At least me. I go, where is the change? Where's the change? Where's the change at? Can we see that now, please? You say we're the hottest country. How so? Because milk and eggs still the same price. In fact, it's gone up a little bit. A pound of beef is insane. When is it going to change? When are we going to reap the benefits of whatever the hell he's doing? He's like, the tariffs are amazing. But then we hear that they're doing different deals. Other countries are doing different deals with other countries rather than doing deals with America. So how well are these tariffs really doing? You see what I'm saying? How are we really doing? So again, that's why I say I urge you guys, listen to other things, venture out, go off the beaten path for a second. Even if it's something that you can't stand that, what the left has to say, or you can't stand what the right has to say. If you happen to be one of those people, I just urge you to just try to hear, because just to hear an opposing view, that's it. You could be arguing the entire time, yelling at your phone while you're listening to them. You know what I mean? But I think it would be a very good exercise for a lot of us that are just stuck in our own echo chamber, and just hear what the other side is saying. And either you're going to walk away feeling like, okay, I've become much more mature of a person, or you're going to realize, my Lord, that side is insane. But at least you tried. You know what I'm saying? That's just my thoughts, That's just my thoughts. But it is time to wrap up, guys. So I appreciate you guys so much for being here, but that is the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Thank you. Okay? Please do me a favor before you head out. Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do it, do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, please make sure you hit that follow button. Follow. Subscribe here on my main channel right here on YouTube. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. I got a third channel too. Eventually I'll do something on there. But if you can, go and subscribe over there as well. There'll be something brewing over there very soon. Pascal Raw. So subscribe over there. Hit that notification bell on all those platforms so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload. That'd be greatly appreciated. Hit that join button down below. Hit that notification bell first. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys. It's time to get going. Much love to you guys. Have a great rest of your night. If there's something that breaks, I may be back on a little bit later. If not, have a great night. Sleep well, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.